High in the Himalayas, the Rohtang Pass offers some of the most breathtaking views in India. But the name itself reveals a much darker history. In the local dialect, the word Rohtang translates to the Valley of Death, or more literally, a pile of corpses. This history has dictated a strict local curfew for generations. No resident of the surrounding villages stays on the pass past 6 p.m. They know that travelers caught on these heights after dark have a centuries-old history of freezing to death or vanishing without a trace. While local authorities officially attribute these deaths to extreme hypothermia and the sheer mountain terrain, the people who live here tell a different story. They speak of a shape-shifting, malevolent entity, a massive, creeping shadow that hunts those who ignore the mountain's ancient warnings. Sahil and his 3 friends, Chirag, Arun, and Samay, simply dismissed the concerned hotel receptionist's warnings as a quaint piece of mountain folklore. Surrounded by the safety and noise of Manali's tourist center, the idea of a mountain shadow felt like an impossible myth. This gap between ancient local knowledge and modern outsider skepticism is the first point of vulnerability. By ignoring the curfew, the group inadvertently positioned themselves for a confrontation they weren't equipped for. They hadn't planned this vacation on a whim. This journey was specifically designed to help Samay, who had spent the last several months in a state of deep, paralyzing withdrawal. 3 months earlier, Samay's younger brother died in a tragic car accident on a school trip. The loss transformed Samay from the life of the party into a traumatized shell. From a supernatural perspective, this trauma created a void. This animated diagram shows how massive grief functions like a vacuum in the human psyche, compromising the natural psychological defenses that typically keep external influences at bay. At 5:15 p.m., as the group began their descent, the physical environment mirrored Samay's internal state. Dense fog rolled in, dropping visibility to 0 and forcing the car down to a crawl on the freezing, isolated slopes. The group was now effectively cornered by 2 different geographies, the lethal heights of the mountain pass and the deep, unresolved emotional trauma inside the car. The entity's initial attack doesn't target the body, it targets the group's shared sense of reality. To isolate the host, it first has to make the passengers stop trusting what they see. After 20 minutes of driving through the fog, the friends encountered a spatial impossibility. They passed a Manali 28 km milestone for the second time, despite having driven several kilometers since the first sighting. This diagram illustrates the sensory fracture. Sahil saw a man on the stone, Chirag saw a little girl, and Arun saw a black horse. But Samay saw nothing, only feeling a crushing urge to help someone hidden in the fog. This tactic ensures that no 2 people can agree on what is happening. By feeding each passenger a unique hallucination, the entity replaces their mutual support with confusion, effectively isolating Samay while his friends sit right beside him. The looping road serves as the outer mechanism of the trap. The primary objective is the internal fracturing of the group, leaving 4 people to experience 4 entirely separate, terrifying versions of the same night. The escalation became physical at 40 kilometers per hour. A battered 15-year-old boy appeared in the fog, running effortlessly alongside the moving car. This was a targeted lure. The entity projected the specific image of a bruised, helpless child to activate Samay's specific trauma. It weaponized his unresolved guilt over the death of his younger brother to bypass his final mental defenses. Samay's reaction was immediate and trance-like. He rolled down the window and smiled at the figure, while his friends panicked, finding that the car's central locking system had completely failed to function. The group eventually broke the loop and reached their hotel at 2 a.m. They believed that by putting physical walls between themselves and the mountain, they had reached safety. At 3:30 a.m., Sahil found Samay standing before a mirror, singing a lullaby with deep, fresh choke marks visible on his neck. With a child's smile, Samay asked if they would open the window to help him later that night. The geographic retreat to the hotel was irrelevant. Physical locks provide no protection against a threat that has already secured an invitation into the host's mind. The following morning, a local pundit examined Samay and confirmed that he was suffering from a profound supernatural infection. The Pandit explained a process called soul mimicry. This diagram shows how the entity bypassed Samay's psychological immune system by wearing the mask of his brother's memory. It simply used a frequency Samay was already primed to accept. During the exorcism, Samay underwent a violent physical purge, eventually vomiting a thick, black, tar-like substance onto the floor. This substance represented the entity's physical influence, a psychological rot taking root in Samay's nervous system. Rohtang's Valley of Death is more than a geographic hazard. It is a landscape where ancient warnings map out psychological danger zones. The folklore is a survival guide for those navigating both physical heights and internal lows. Here, unresolved trauma provides the exact frequency an entity needs to mimic those we have already lost. For those still grieving, the most dangerous knock at the window is the one they've been waiting to hear.